All right, so when you're working with problems like this, we are either evaluating a function or a linear equation um, with all these values in the table. Now, this equation right here, y equals 15 minus 2x, it's a linear equation. It's basically in slope-intercept form. I could put it in slope-intercept form if I just switch these two around. This right here, we have a function, which is also a linear equation in slope-intercept form, just using the function notation. Um, it doesn't really matter that one's using y, one's using f of x. These problems are essentially the same thing. I'm plugging in different values for x, and I'm seeing what is the result after I do the calculations. So I'm going to just do a couple examples. I might not do the entire table, see how much time I have. Start out with this one on the left. When x is negative 5, what's the value of the function? So I'm going to say this is the function. Let me make this a little wider. The function at negative 5 equals 4 times negative 5 minus 1. So the function at negative 5 equals negative 20 minus 1. I'm just doing the 4 times negative 5 to get negative 20. And then negative 20 minus 1 is negative 21. So the function, when x is negative 5, the value comes out to negative 21. When I input negative 5, the output is negative 21. So that would go right here. And then let me do a different one. So I'll do the bottom one. Let's see what the output will be when I input 3. So the function, when the input is 3, would be 4 times 3 minus 1. So the function f at 3 would be 12 minus 1. All I did was 4 times 3, and 12 minus 1 is 11. So then when I input 3, my output value is 11. That's going to go right here in my table. And you would do these other three the exact same way. Input negative 3, input 1, input 2. But just for the sake of time, I'm going to move over to the other equation. Now, the only difference really is that this is not in function notation, but I'm going to take all these input values, the 1, 2, 5, 6, and I'm just going to one at a time plug them in for x and see what I get in return for y. So let's change colors. When x is 1, I would have y equals 15 minus 2 times 1, plugging 1 in for x. That would be y equals 15 minus 2, which would be y equals 13. So that goes right there. Change colors. Green. When I plug in, let's go with the bottom one. Let's say x was 6. Well, that would be y equals 15 minus 2 times 6. Well, that's y equals 15 minus 12, which means y equals 3. And same thing, we just go ahead and we can plug in the 2 for x, we can plug in the 5 for x. I said I'm not going to do every single example, but hopefully you get the idea. These x values are your input values. So I plug negative 5 in for x, negative 3 in for x, 1, 2, and 3 all in for x. I do the calculations to get my output value. I plug 1, 2, 5, and 6 in for x. I do the calculations to figure out what the value of y is. Just working with inputs and outputs depending on what the function is.